Welcome to the Your Best Kept Business Secret Podcast, where we'll help you monetize, grow, and market your business to give you the business that you really deserve. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. Just search for Your Best Kept Business Secret or drop in to www.markford.uk and get even more ideas, thoughts, and strategies on how to get the business you deserve. Now, here's your host, the UK's best kept business secret, Coach Mark Ford.
Welcome one and all. Welcome to Your Best Kept Business Secret podcast, which is available on Facebook video, YouTube video, iTunes, Spotify, and various other places. I like to leave it like pairs of sunglasses during the summer. Now, I mean this sincerely. I say this every week, but thank you for taking part, as I know, and I mean I really do know, how much stuff is out there by more famous people than me. So you taking time to spend with me, I am genuinely, truly grateful. So, and if you do actually like what you hear, you see, or even makes any sense, please do drop me a line and subscribe, and I will be your best kept business secret forever. Now, in this podcast, I'm going to tackle a subject that some would say, especially my friend James, that I've made a career out of. If you're in business and you haven't seen the multi-million, billion, trillion viewed video of Simon Sinek's TedX Talk on the reason why, where on God's green earth have you been living? Now, I'll put the link in the notes below for you special people, but you really do need to realise that it is one of the most important things that can make you different from your competition and your exact rival. So here, right here, I'm going to take you through 7 questions that will help you, yes you amazing, sexy, stunning business owner, on how to make your why work out for you. Right, I guess that's the intro bit. So let's roll the stingy thing. What's your favourite flavour of shit sandwich, and does it come with fries? Whoa, Mark, what are you doing? You're straight in there. Yes, you see, because it's the all-important question. What flavour of shit sandwich would you like to eat? Because here's the shitty little truth about life in business that nobody tells you at university or college, is that everything sucks some of the time. Now that probably sounds incredibly pessimistic, and you may be thinking, hey, best kept business secret, why don't you turn that frown upside down? And I, my friend, would say, have a freaking word with yourself. Because I actually think this is a liberating idea. You see, everything involves sacrifice. Everything includes some sort of cost. Nothing is pleasurable or uplifting all of the time. So the question becomes, what struggle or sacrifice are you willing to tolerate? Ultimately, what determines our ability to stick with something we care about is our ability to handle the rough patches and ride out the inevitable rotten days. And there will be some, in fact, many, before it gets better. Now, if you want to be a brilliant entrepreneur, but you can't handle failure, then you are really not going to make it very far. If you want to be a professional artist, but you aren't willing to see your work being rejected hundreds, if not thousands of times, then you're done before you start, and you should go and get a job as an art teacher in a secondary school somewhere instead. If you want to be a hotshot court lawyer, but you can't stand the 80-hour work weeks, then I've got bad news for you. It is not like The Split, and it is not like Perry Mason, for crying out loud. What unpleasant experiences are you able to handle? Are you able to stay up all night coding? Are you able to put off starting a family for 10 years? Are you able to have people laugh you off a stage over and over again till you get it right? It's happened to me. What shit sandwich do you want to eat? Because we all get served one eventually, and your favourite shit sandwich is your competitive advantage. You see, by definition, anything that you're willing to do, that you enjoy doing, that most people are not willing to do, gives you a huge leg up. So find your favourite shit sandwich, and you might as well pick one with fries, or if you're a vegan, some halloumi or an aubergine or something. Question 2. What is true about you today that would make your 10-year-old self cry? Now, when I was a child, I used to draw cartoons. I used to sit in my room for hours by myself, all by myself, drawing away about aliens, about superheroes, about warriors, about my friends and my family. Not because I wanted anybody to read it, and not because I wanted to impress my parents or my teachers, but actually it was for the sheer joy of it. And then, for some reason, I stopped. I don't remember why. I mean, I may have found women or something, or wrestling. I mean, both are the same. We all have a tendency to lose touch with what we loved about as a child. Something about the social pressures of adolescence and professional pressures of young adulthood squeezes that kind of passion out of us. We're taught that the only reason to do something is if we're somehow kind of rewarded for it. And the transactional nature of the world inevitably stifles us and makes us feel lost or stuck. And it kind of wasn't until I was nearly 40 that I rediscovered how much I loved drawing. And it wasn't until I started my business that I remembered how much I enjoyed doing graphics. Something I lasted in my late teens, probably for my A-levels. The funny thing though, is that if my 10-year-old self asked my 40-year-old self, why don't you draw cartoons anymore? And I would have replied, because I'm not good at it, or because nobody would look at what I drew, or because you can't make money doing that. Not only would I have been completely wrong, but that 10-year-old boy version of me would have probably started crying. Let's be fair, that 10-year-old boy didn't care about Google traffic or social media virility or booking advances. He just wanted to play and dick about. And that's where passion always begins, with a sense of play and a little bit of dicking about. What makes you forget to eat and go for a poo? Now, we've all had that experience where we get so wrapped up in something that minutes turns into hours and hours turns into, holy shit, I've forgotten to eat today. Supposedly, in his prime, Sir Isaac Newton's mother had to regularly come in and remind him to eat because he would spend the entire day so absorbed in his work that he would just simply forget. Now, I used to be like that with playing cricket down the fields where I lived. Now, this probably, or in fact, wasn't a good thing. In fact, for many years, it was kind of a problem. I would go down the fields and play like a mini test match with my mates. Me probably on about 350 not out by the end of the day, instead of doing more important things like studying for an exam, or showering regularly, or speaking to other humans face to face, or as it would turn out, hydrating and eating. You see, it wasn't until I gave up the games that I realised that my passion wasn't for the game itself, although I still do love cricket. My real passion is for improvement, being good at something and then just trying to get better. The game itself was pretty cool, but I could easily live without it. It's the competition with others and with myself that I thrived on. Now, when I applied that obsessiveness for self-improvement and competition to business coaching, well, things are kind of taking off in a big way. Now, maybe for you, it is something else. Maybe it's organising things efficiently, or getting lost in a fantasy world, or teaching somebody something, or solving technical problems. Whatever it is, don't just look at the activities that keep you up all night, but look at the cognitive principles behind those activities that enthrall you and kind of get your juices going. Because then, my friend, those can easily be applied elsewhere. How can you better embarrass yourself? Now, let's be honest, I have done some dumb fuck stuff. Yeah, 2019 for me was a year of utter dumb fuckery. But before you're able to be good at something and do something important, you must first suck at something and have no clue as to what you're doing. I'd like to think that was kind of pretty obvious, right? You see, in order to suck at something, you have to have no clue at what you're doing. You must embarrass yourself in some shape or form, often repeatedly. Most people try to avoid embarrassing themselves, namely because it just sucks. Ergo, whoa, quick, call the podcast police. I use the word ergo. Ergo, get me, sounding posh. Right, okay. Ergo, due to the transitive, I did it again, properly of awesomeness. If you avoid anything that could potentially embarrass you, then you will never end up doing something that feels important or even awesome. Yes, it seems that once again, it all comes back down to vulnerability. Right now, there is something you want to do, something that you are thinking about doing, something that you fantasize about doing, yet you don't do it. I mean, you have your reasons, no doubt, and you repeat those reasons to yourself infinitum, right? But what are those reasons? Because I can tell you right now, my friend, that if you choose reasons that are based on what others would think, then you are screwing yourself over big time. If your reasons are something like, I can't start a business because spending time with my kids is more important to me, or playing Snake on your phone all day would probably interfere with my music and my music is more important to me, then okay, that sounds good. But if your reasons are my parents would hate it, or my friends would make fun of me, or if I failed I'd look like an idiot, then your chances that you are actually avoiding something that you truly care about, because caring about that thing is what scares the shit out of you, not what mom or what Jimmy next door thinks. Great things are, by their very nature, unique and unconventional. Therefore, to achieve them, we must go against the herd mentality. And to do that, it's scary. Embrace embarrassment. Embrace being a knob. Feeling foolish is part of the path of achieving something important, something meaningful. The more a major life decision scares you, the chances are the more you need to be doing it right now. 5. Right, how are you going to save the world? And in case you haven't seen the news lately, the world has more than a few problems. And by a few problems, what I really mean is everything is all fucked up and we're all going to die. You see, I've harped on about this before, and the research also bears it out. But to live a happy and a healthy business life, we must hold on to the values that are greater than our own pleasure or satisfaction. So pick a problem and start saving the world. There are plenty to choose from. Our screwed up education systems, economic development, domestic violence, mental health care, government corruption, the list goes on, but I don't want to upset myself, let alone you. So find a problem that you care about and start solving it. Obviously you're not going to fix the world's problems by yourself, okay? That's why we have the Avengers. But you can contribute and make a difference. And that feeling of making a difference is ultimately what's most important for your own happiness and your own fulfillment. And importance equals purpose. Now I know what you're thinking. Oi, Fordy, I read all this horrible stuff and I get all pissed off too, but that doesn't translate to action, much less a new career path. Well, I am very glad that you asked that. Number 6, gun to your head, if you had to leave the house all day, every day, where would you go? What would you do? See, it's a very random question, but for many of us, the enemy is just old-fashioned complacency. We get into our routines, we distract ourselves constantly, you see, because the couch is very comfortable, the Pringles are very salty, and nothing new ever happens. You see, that, my friend, is a problem, a big problem. Don't believe me? Now, what most people don't understand is that passion is the result of action and not the cause of it. Discovering what you're passionate about in life, what matters to you, is a full contact sport and a trial and error process. None of us know exactly how we feel about an activity until we actually do the activity. So, ask yourself, if someone put a gun to your head and forced you to leave your house every day for everything except for sleep, how would you choose to occupy yourself? And no, you can't just go and sit in a coffee shop and dick about on Facebook or on YouTube, because let's be fair, you're probably already doing that. So let's pretend there are no useless websites, there is no video games, and no TV. You have to be outside of the house all day, every day, until it's time to go to bed. Where would you go? What would you do? Would you sign up for a little dance class? Would you join a book club? Would you go and get a degree? Or would you invent a new form of irrigation system that can save thousands of children's lives across rural Africa? Would you even learn to hang glide? So what would you do with all that time? Now, if it strikes your fancy, write down a few answers and then, kind of go out and actually do them. Now, bonus points, ladies and gentlemen, if it involves embarrassing yourself whilst keeping your clothes on. Sorry, Mum. Now, number 7. If you knew you were going to die 1 year from today, what would you do and how would you want to be remembered? Now, most of us really don't like thinking about death. It freaks us out. But thinking about our own death, surprisingly, has a lot of practical advantages. Now, one of those advantages is that it forces us to zero in on what's actually important in our lives and kind of what's just frivolous and kind of, well, just a bit distracting. You see, remember, nobody ever lies on their deathbed and says, I wish I hadn't. No. They always say, oh, I wish I had. I think I kind of want to be that odd fella that wanders around and just asks general people, if you had a year to live, what would you do? Now, I mean, as you can imagine, I would probably be a huge hit at parties. I mean, I'm available for bar mitzvahs, Christmases, weddings, and all social occasions. I would be the life and soul of the party. But I'm also pretty certain a lot of people would give a vague and boring answer. A few drinks will probably be nearly spat on me, but it will cause people to kind of really think about their lives in a very different way and where their priorities really are. See, ultimately, death is the only thing that gives us perspective on the value of our own life, because it's only by imagining your non-existence that you can get a sense of what is most important about, well, your existence. So, what is your legacy going to be? What are the stories people are going to tell when you are gone? What is your obituary actually going to say? Is there anything to say at all? If not, what would you like it to say? And how can you start working towards that today? And again, if you fantasize about your obituary saying a bunch of sort of badass shit about you that impresses other people, then you are failing right here. You see, when people feel they have no sense of direction, no purpose in their life or their business life, it's because they don't know what's important to them and they don't know what their values truly are. And when you don't know what your values truly are, then you're essentially taking on other people's values and living other people's priorities instead of your own. This is a one-way ticket to an unhealthy relationship and eventually misery. Trust me, I know. I have been there, I have done that. Discovering your purpose in life and business essentially boils down to finding those 1 or 2 things that are bigger than yourself and bigger than those around you. It's not about some kind of great achievement, but merely finding a way to spend your limited amount of time here on earth very well. And to do that, you must get off your ass and act and take the time to think beyond yourself, to think greater than yourself, and paradoxically, to imagine a world without yourself. And that's it for this episode of the Your Best Kept Business Secret podcast. A bit deep and meaningful, this one, if I'm totally honest, but I hope you got something out of it. And don't be afraid to leave me some feedback or comments on the appropriate platforms, because I really do genuinely love listening to what you guys are getting up to, how you're getting on, and how I can help you get the business that your bloody hard work deserves faster and with a few more quid in your pocket. So subscribe, like, share, and spread the love. I am Mark Ford. I am your best kept business secret, and I will see you on the other side.